On today's show, Christian Wood gets signed by the Lakers, but not before leaving a parting shot for the Dallas Mavericks. He said, quote, after what Dallas did. What does he mean by that? We'll talk about that. And Luka Doncic complaining? No. Talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everydayer, subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. What did Christian Wood mean when he said after what Dallas did? If you want to support the show, text us. Get text alerts from us on all kinds of things, Mavs rumors and game days, things like that. We're getting close. Less than a month away from a preseason game. Subscribe to our subtext. Click the link in the description. Text the number on the screen. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, Studio 41, the Wood Wonder, the One More Thing King. What you got for us, Isaac Harris?
You know, I want to give a little shout out to Nick here off the top. Nick took me to my first Dallas Wings game the other night, and Satu has a new fan. I'm all in on Satu. I just want to say, if you live in Dallas and you haven't been to a Wings game, it's worth going. Like you got to go and feel this atmosphere.
I've been trying to tell you,
it's a really fun atmosphere. I think we did, strike gold a little bit because we had a really good game, and it was Breanna Stewart too, who's just incredible, and it was all of that. But they have a star in Satu. I don't even know what's a hot Wings take. But I'm like, Satu is clearly the better star than Enrique. But it's just
pretty hot.
It was it was a fun night. You got to go to a Wings game if you can.
Absolutely. And come say hi. I'm there. I'm at every home game. So
the ladies behind us made Nick and I dance with them. That was fun. And then a kid threw up on Nick. So
that is also true. That's true. Weren't you happy that a kid threw up at a sporting event and it wasn't your kid?
You know how mad I would have been if I went to a sporting event and was away from the house and then another kid threw up on me? You've got to be kidding.
We came in clutch with our towels, our fan towels they gave out. We had to give them to the mom.
Here you go.
This is all we got to help.
I'm about to just give you my shirt here.
On today's show, we're going to talk about Luka and Slovenia. I did an episode with Sean Woodley talking about Canada versus Slovenia, so you can go listen to that. That's on your feed wherever you're listening to watching this right now, so you can go check out that. But I want to talk about him complaining because it was really apparent in this one. I'm sure Isaac has some thoughts about that game. We'll talk about that. Does Luka have to grow out of that in order for the Mavs to take another step forward? So we'll get into all that, but I want to start here. Actually,
this might be a whole pod where I'm going to go scorched earth on both subjects.
Isaac wants to start here. Christian Wood signs with the Los Angeles Lakers on September 5th. So late in the season. Signed to a veteran minimum deal for 2 years. The second year is a player option for Christian Wood, but it is a vet minimum deal. He signs with the Lakers. He now joins. Woj reports that now Anthony Davis can spend more time at the 4 because they bring in Christian Wood, who's expected to have a big role. You're like, okay, Lakers fans are talking themselves into it. I get it. I actually don't blame any Lakers fans are talking themselves into it. You can squint and look at Christian Wood's stats and say, we can make that work. We got Anthony Davis. That is.
If you thought long and hard, you would say he's the next Pau Gasol.
If you didn't think about it at all that morning, and maybe if you had played football for a long time and then you made that take one day. But the thing that we don't really want to talk about, the deal, Lakers, not really any of that. Really, none of that matters for us.
It's a pretty good value.
What
to
stood
get
out,
Christian Wood for that amount.
What stood out to me was Christian Wood sent a statement to Mark Spears about the signing with the Lakers. This was before the Lakers even announced that he was signed with them officially. The quote says, quote, "I've always wanted to be a Laker. I know we can win a championship. Communication with a coach is a big key. Coach Ham and I go back to our Milwaukee days, his great Milwaukee days, and we've had great conversations every day about this opportunity. Tampering, question mark. He believes in me and told me I'll be playing a big role and knows what I can do. I'm looking forward to this and for sure motivated after what Dallas did. By the way, in the screenshot that Mark Spears posted, you can tell that it was a text. you can see the edges of it, which I found pretty funny. First of all, him doing this quote, what stood out to you most about this quote specifically? And I think we got to do what Dallas did. That's got to be the first thing. But I'll let you go. I'll let you go here.
How long do I got right now? Because
go ahead. I'll sit back. I got my drink on this.
Yeah, just take a few drinks right here. Let's go over Christian Wood's time in the league. He signs a contract with the Sixers, waived by the Sixers. Signed a 10-day with the Sixers, waived by the Sixers. Signed a 10-day with the Sixers again. Then signed a contract for the rest of the season with the Sixers. Dang it. Then his contract was up. Signed a deal with the Hornets, then signed a deal with the Bucks, waived by the Bucks. Claimed on waivers by the Pelicans, waived by the Pelicans. Claimed by the Pistons. And then he was claimed on waivers by the Pistons from the New Orleans Pelicans. And then, you know what? He signs a multi-year contract with the Pistons in November 2020 in a signing trade because the Pistons are like, yeah, I don't think we're going to commit long-term to that, okay? So they send him in a deal to Houston. You know what happens in Houston? Houston can't get rid of him for anything, okay? It was the worst-kept secret. It was reported on and everything that they were just trying to give him away in Houston, all right? And then what happens on draft night? Dallas comes in and says, we have the 26th overall pick in the draft. We like Jaden Hardy. We want Hardy, but we think we can get him in the second round. And what do? They trade the 26th overall pick, a bunch of expiring contracts, Boban and the guys on the end of the roster, and they even said that night, hey, there's a lot to prove, okay? This is their way of saying, dude, all these teams that I just listed have given up on him and do not want him long-term because there's a lot of reasons off the floor that commitment hasn't been made. And they're like, hey, it's a prove it thing for him, for us. They didn't commit to anything and all of that. It was a buy low deal. They bring him in. It obviously doesn't work. And bam, it was no time that it was the exact same thing. Tim McMahon was on this podcast. Tim Cato was on this podcast, asked the exact same question to both of those guys. Hey, can you tell Mavs fans why this didn't work out? They both said around the same thing. Anybody who knows anything about the situation is saying around the same thing about, hey, his past coaches, there hasn't been a coach who has wanted him on the team. I posted the thing on Twitter today, or X, of McMahon, the short on our YouTube. McMahon answers that question. Nick edited that, put that out there. So the end of that quote, instead of being motivated by what Dallas did, the end of the quote should be motivated by what the Sixers, Hornets, Bucks, Pelicans, Pistons, Rockets, and Mavericks did. Because if you're going to sit there and call out Dallas for it, and it sucks because he is such a nice dude, and we love interviewing him, and he is so talented offensively.
Yep.
But there is a disconnect for what professionalism looks like for off the floor between him and a CVS receipt of NBA franchises out there that he cannot connect with. And on top of it, his agent is out there DMing anybody with a heartbeat, trying to tell them that the Mavericks are like the ones in the season that they were trying to destroy his value. So I'm just saying, destroy what value? Whenever you came here for hardly anything, and then now you just signed a minimum contract with the Lakers. There were all these other teams that you were signing 10 days with. And then, so it wasn't Dallas that killed his value. At some point you got to look in the mirror, and you're hurting your own value, and your agent's part of it.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Oh, that felt vintage. That felt fiery Isaac right there. When's the last time we had a fiery Isaac on the podcast? Oh, the Raccoon Squad will remember those well.
I wasn't even upset about him signing with the Lakers. I'm like, hey, it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out with a lot of people.
That means a lot coming from you.
And it's like he signs with the Lakers. The Pau Gasol, Richard Sherman thing was funny. Lakers fans are going to talk themselves into it. Cool. I get it. That's fine. But it was the Dallas, what Dallas did. I'm like, bro, you haven't worked out anywhere, and no one is wanted you. And now you've just went through all of free agency and nobody wanted you. And now you're just getting a minimum contract. So it's just all right, MVP season, Derrick Rose, he said 3 years it's going to be all-star. Maybe it's 4 years.
Coming up, we know what he means by after what Dallas did, and we're going to tell you. You can agree with us or not, but we're going to tell you coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has you covered with all kinds of odds and lines and stuff throughout the NFL season. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Take advantage of that. If you want to watch the NFL this weekend, that's going to be awesome. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Check it out right now. You can check out all kinds of NBA props as well. You don't just have to do NFL. We did our wins, who we think is going to win. They have the win totals all up. The Mavericks one is at 44.5 right now. The Lakers one is at 48.5. That changed. Did that go up? I think that actually may have gone up.
Christian Wood, baby.
Lakers are at 47.5 when we did our over-unders the other day. And today they're at 48. So Christian Wood worth 1 point, worth one win apparently to the Lakers. So go check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. See what's available for you. Get those deals. Bet $5. Get $100 off that YouTube TV. Again, check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon.
My first shot, my first make.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, and every day, or if you listen every day, we appreciate you. We appreciate each and every one of you. So, all right, Isaac, we're talking about Christian Wood. Christian Wood signs with the Lakers. Good job for him to go find a spot. Hopefully it works. I hope it works out with the Lakers. I hope he finds what he's looking for. I hope him and Anthony Davis work out, all that.
Perfect opportunity. Like, you're going to get a spot. Yes.
Again.
Because it's also, yes. I say perfect opportunity because going to the bad team and getting a lot of minutes obviously didn't work because you did that in Houston, put up big numbers with James Harden, and then Houston didn't want you.
And Detroit.
Yeah, and then Houston didn't want you. No one else wanted you either. So now hopefully the goal was for him to go to Dallas. Now kind of shifted a little bit, go to a good team, play the role that a good team wants you to play, which Dallas wanted to be the sixth man and all that, and then it show that you can be part of winning basketball. So now this is kind of his second shot at this on a good team, and he should have some chances to play alongside Anthony Davis. This is an opportunity for him. I mean, this could be the last opportunity for him.
Well, it's a veteran minimum. So like it's not going to be it's not going to be his last opportunity in the NBA, I don't think. But it seems like to get like a chance to actually get paid if he can play this role, then maybe he can. And that's what he's really looking for. And so that brings me to this. In his quote after what Dallas did, that stands out to me because we know what he means. We've talked about it on this show several times. You mentioned it earlier. They think there's a conspiracy to hold him back and to not play Christian Wood enough minutes at the beginning of the season so that they wouldn't have to sign him to a bigger deal.
I feel like I'm on some like Woodanon chat board. Like what?
That's what they think. Like they really like, and we know this, and you guys know that we know this. And so that's what he means when he says what Dallas did. They think that they was being held back and that they were, Dallas didn't want to pay, a bigger deal. And so Jason Kidd and Mark Cuban and Nico Harrison all got together and they were like, like, let's just play him a little less. When that's not the case. Like, unless it was a really well-kept secret. Like, but you look at on the court and what it was on the court. And the Mavericks were worse when Christian Wood was on the court. Their defense somehow was worse when Christian Wood was on the court. There was issues. Jason Kidd, first of all, didn't want him in the first place. This is a Nico Harrison flyer. And then he wanted
what Tim McMahon said in our short, he's like, there hasn't been a coach that has wanted him. And it's not just the Jason Kidd thing. And trust me, we have took our shots at Jason Kidd.
Yeah, you can blame Jason Kidd for a lot of things for last year. We have, but I don't think the Christian Wood thing is one of those things. For people that are even saying that like Christian Wood got buried last year, he played 26 minutes a game. That was fifth on the team last year. Like he got a chance. He had a chance to be the Mavericks center and all that. They just wanted him to be Lou Williams. They wanted him to come off the bench. They wanted him to be sixth man. And they wanted him to be Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford, and he didn't want to play that role. And they thought that him and his agent thought that he was being held back so that they wouldn't have to pay him. And so here we are. So that's what he thinks Dallas did. I don't know how he thinks that part of it is going to be different in LA, right? Like, that team with LeBron, they want to
still got to be a professional in LA too. Gotta there's times that meetings start. There's a lot of other things too.
And again, you hope all the best for him, but with that quote at the end made me think that nothing had been learned in Dallas.
That's the part that's like the sad part about it is if he's truly leaving Dallas and he's saying, dude, he
is truly leaving.
No, I'm saying if him and his agents truly leaving Dallas and saying, man, those guys screwed me over. They were the only reason why last year was how it all played out. Then that's just like the story of his career kind of. It's like at some point you got to look at it and be like, yes, in a perfect world, he's probably like, man, I wish I had a coach that did want me at the very beginning. But you also got to, man, just like prove it wrong, prove the reputation wrong. And instead he's leaving another franchise following the same storyline. So,
yeah. And so here we are with the Christian Wood situation. He signs with the Lakers. We'll see if it works out for them, but a parting shot to the Mavericks. I'm sure this won't be the end of it. I'm sure there will be another one. I'm sure he'll take like 12 threes against the Mavericks whenever he plays in Dallas. I'm sure there'll be something else, and we'll see how well it goes with the Lakers.
I saw somebody today said, hey, make sure you circle that Lakers Mavs game. I'm like, guys, I think it was already circled. All right. LeBron, Luka, AD,
Kyrie, and it was circled before because Kyrie could force his way to the Lakers. Like that was the first thing. And now with this Christian
Galaxy brain, Christian Woods in a Kyrie trade.
What?
Back to Dallas.
What? just blew my mind wholly and completely right there.
That was Dallas's plan all along.
Is Darvin Ham talking to Christian Wood this whole time? I guess he's a free agent, so I guess he can, right?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
it's not tampering. Also, it is weird for him to release a statement about him signing, right?
Like about himself signing.
Yeah,
No, I don't think that's weird. I mean, he's excited. You're gonna go play with LeBron and AD in freaking Los Angeles. Like, I'd be excited too. So I don't blame him for like issuing his little statement. It just I think it's a little weird at the end of, hey, what Dallas did. He's motivated by what Dallas did. I'm like, dude, you need to add about 18 more teams to that list.
I'll give him one benefit of the doubt here. What if he actually meant, and it just came off wrong, what Dallas did by not making the playoffs? And I'm motivated to actually make the playoffs this year with the Lakers.
I feel like you're trying to convince me to watch Avatar. I think you have a better case for that.
I think there's more substance to the Avatar: The Last Airbender show than there is to that take. But he could mean that. Like, I'm motivated to actually make the playoffs, and after what we did as Dallas, like after we failed to make the playoffs last year, I'm motivated.
I mean, maybe.
You could talk me into that side of it. But you and I both know that it's not what it is. All right.
Anything else with it?
I don't have anything else with Christian Wood. I think we can turn the page now. I think you and I are done with this. We're not going to do this ever again.
Can we just say, like, we've been done with this for a while, and people were getting
we just did like half an episode about it.
I know. I'm just, because he finally signed. It was like the bookend of this Mavs chapter of like how far into the season we're like, hey, he's not coming back. Like, I mean, started hearing that at a decent time. It's like, hey, this is saying he's not gonna be coming back. I mean, it became like the talking point, but before home games of, hey, what's the latest thing you've heard, or what's the latest DM you've got?
Well, and when there was a chance that he was going to get extended, like when that didn't happen, as soon as that didn't happen, he didn't get extended for the 4 years. The 4 years, what was it? 4 years 70 or the 2 years 40? Like, as soon as that didn't happen, you knew.
Definitely a gap in those extension talks for sure. But that was a wild time though of, Christian Wood putting up some numbers there, and the whole debate of 4 for 77 or whatever it was. Max him out. It's like, now he's going for $2 million. So,
all right, coming up, I want to talk about Luka and complaining, because it reared its ugly head in a ridiculous way against Canada. So we'll talk about that and all that comes with it, and we'll do that coming up.
My first shot, my first make.
Isaac Harris. Slovenia loses to Canada in the FIBA World Cup. You were live on Studio 41. I did an episode with Sean Woodley here, so we've covered the game a little bit. But I want to talk about Luka and his complaining on its own. I'm sure we'll do another episode on this or talk about this more in the future. But Luka in this game, do you think that the complaining was the issue or the refs were more of an issue? I guess I'll just start there with you.
Okay. Well, one, before I go off again, Luka has a complaining issue we've talked about a million times. Literally a million times. You're listening to the only podcast that has dropped an episode every day of the week for the past 7 years. We have watched all these Luka games. We've said from the beginning, now we're 5 years into this, we're still saying the same thing. He's got to control the emotions. It is the good and the bad with Luka, that he is an entertainer. We don't mind the emotions when he's going down the floor playing the air guitar, sticking out the tongue, and when he's hitting the step backs. We love it. The crowd, all the stuff. The other side of that is the emotions whenever it's not going his way. And when it's not going his way, he's complaining, he's arguing, he's all the stuff. And we know the tech thing every year now. We've done tech watch of when he could get suspended and all of that. And I say all of that to say the refs today were one of the worst crews I've ever seen in my entire life. And
you just did but Beyonce put out the best video of all time. That's basically what you just did on that.
Well, I feel like if you've listened to this podcast, then the amount of time we've talked about Luka complaining and how bad that is.
Yeah,
is a lot compared to these few minutes here. That some of these calls today were ludicrous. I was just laughing at some points because it was the body contact stuff that now you could also say, because I said at one time, I'm like, do you expect Luka to adjust? Because at some point, if you're Luka and you're like, hey, I'm not getting these fouls that I normally get in an NBA game. The pump fake, the body into him, the Lou Dort body into him, and then the contact hits, he throws it up. He was not getting that call at all. So at some point, do you adjust? And I think I would say, yes, that's on Luka for not adjusting to that as the game goes along. But SGA was getting the same crap on the other end. The body fouls, going to the paint, just bouncing off somebody. I don't know if it's because he's smaller or what. That's what was frustrating about this, was the SGA, Luka, all of that. And I'm still saying he should not complain as much as he does and what he did today. But today was absolutely insane. Some of the foul calls that, it was one of the worst crews I've ever seen.
It was brutal. And I talked to Iztok about it. Iztok Franco, one of our friends from Slovenia.
Oh, he had thoughts.
Covers his team. He's got a lot of thoughts. And he gave me insight that, the fight over the best refs with EuroLeague is a mess. So the second or even the third tier refs go to the World Cup. So you're working with third tier refs here at this World Cup, not the ones that are even in the EuroLeague, that are not the ones that are in the NBA. You know what I mean? You're going down the level at this point. So that's what they were working with. And there's a point, what was it, in the third quarter, fourth quarter, where Luka made the money sign with his hands.
Yeah.
To the the executives or whoever was there over FIBA in the arena, and they couldn't have liked that for sure. But you just felt that there was something to the way that they were calling. And
the tech on Horvat.
Well, okay, the tech. I know how the tech on Horvat got called, because they've been doing this at all the FIBA games. These FIBA refs hold the whole team accountable for what anybody has done. So if there's tensions that rise, Luka's complaining to his coach to try and get the coach to complain. So they're all at a level. You're at a level 10. The next time somebody does something, we're holding them accountable. Horvat complains about a call, and then all of a sudden, tech on him. Zoran Dragic tries to flop, and they're like, we're not calling that, or we're calling a flop warning on you. Zoran Dragic got the worst whistle of anybody in this game, which I thought was hilarious. Just like a role player for Slovenia. And that's what they've been doing this whole tournament, which is not how you referee games either. You shouldn't hold the whole team accountable for what one player is doing, but that's what it ended up being. They got tired of Luka's crap, and so they decided to just call the whole team on it. And then the whole team got frustrated, and they all got texts, and then here we are.
Yeah, I don't listen. Canada is has more talent than
They were
Slovenia.
favored.
Okay,
They
like
should have
yes,
won.
Luka was asked a few days ago who was the favorite to win the World Cup. He said USA and Canada. Like there's a reason, and that matchup will probably happen on Sunday, and it'll be a blast. We will all watch that game. There's a ton of NBA players. It'll be like an all-star game, except they care. And so it's like Canada, it didn't decide the game, even though that first half was incredible. Like you expected Canada to pull away at some point. It was just really, really frustrating to watch as a fan and somebody who loves Luka. That's like, dang, like, man, he's complaining, but man, he's not getting crap called. And that has to be, yeah. I mean, I was getting pretty hot on the live stream there. I was getting mad. I was like, man, it's been a minute. Like the Mavs, it's been a minute since a non-Mavs team has made me mad about a referee.
Well, it felt like a Mavs team all the way from the talent to Luka to the disposition. Like it felt like it. Overall, they went small in this game where we haven't seen them play small, like without Toby or Demitz, and you're like, okay, this feels like a Mavericks team going small.
Luka ISO Dwight handful of times, and I looked over at Bobby one time and I was like, Bobby, what if he just calls for Dwight to defend her every single time?
He kind of did.
Is that kind of like, is that mean? Like, do you? But it was fun watching them two play against each other.
With Luka and his complaining, what do you think is the issue? Or what do you think this is an issue that can be contained? Do you think there's an isolated incident with this game that you think he will mature, take a next step in the NBA? What do you think is next for him?
I mean, honestly, I just think it's maturity. I mean, yeah, there's really nothing else. You can just sit here. There's not it's not like I can say, hey, work with Sham God, work on the hand, the dribbling. I don't know.
You can work with DK.
Work with DK, like I know, but it's just like it is going back to what I was saying before. It's the give and take of Luka. Like Luka's such an emotional player, and like you don't want him to really contain the emotions when with his love for the game and how fun he has playing the game and the entertainer part of him playing the game. But at some point, you hope that he figures that out. You can't just say, hey, as players get older, they'll just no. I mean, look at LeBron. The dude's complaining every time down the floor. So it's like it's not just an age thing. Like he can like Luka's probably still gonna be complaining when he's 38. Don't know if he's gonna be playing professional basketball, but he's probably still gonna be complaining to referees. And so that I think it's kind of right now, my pessimistic side says it's just gonna be a part of who he is for his career. But there's another side of me, he's like, maybe it just clicks one year, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna tone it back a notch.
To me, it's just all about when and where, right? Like the ones where he's sitting on the floor still and he doesn't get back on defense and all that, the play's still going. Like it feels like at least when LeBron does it, he's doing it when the play has stopped. And then he'll go back and he'll mention a couple plays before that, and do that. And so like I think that's a big difference, is just being able to control when you go crazy at an official when sometimes it's deserved.
Yeah. I think it would almost be kind of funny if it ever does click and he stops. I think some people who like watch him all the time would be like, does he even care out there now? like, does he care? Like, what is going on? The
pendulum has swung the other way. He's just stone faced. Like,
it's like, that was a bad foul. And he's just walking on the other end of the floor. Like, come on, argue.
He just turns into Kawhi, just stone face, hits a step back.
But yeah, I know we'll talk about some FIBA takeaways and stuff, probably in another podcast, but it was just a lot of fun, man, just to watch Luka play basketball again and, see this Slovenia team that so many of us have adopted, and so many of you guys from Slovenia have allowed us to hop on board.
Yeah, mispronounce names and correct us in the comments. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, we're on here like, all right, how do you say it? Do you say Bine or like what? It's just wild because, now we've seen this, there's some of these guys and rooted for some of these guys. It's becoming like a summer tradition. Yeah. Now next summer, is Olympics, which, they have some work to do to qualify, it's like Toby and Prepelic and, some of these guys, Goran before this, but it's been a lot of fun to watch these guys play. It's always fun. And it's been one of the unforeseen positives, 100%. I think, of Luka being in Dallas that I think so many of us there's no way for us to really, I guess, we've had it with Dirk in Germany, but to see this like connection that a lot of Mavs fans now feel with, it's the Slovenian national team. So it's a lot of fun. Miss them. Shout out when we learned the first part of the national anthem and sang it on the pod.
On the 4th of July, no less.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.